And in international news, Greek Prime Minister George Papandreou said on Tuesday that restructuring his country's debt would do more harm than good. Greece's European partners continue to debate solutions how best to resolve the country's debt crisis, raising the possibility of a debt restructuring. However, the chairman of the Eurogroup, Jean-Claude Juncker, said he favored a soft restructuring of Greek debt, which implies granting Greece another loan to help pay back its debt or extending the payment schedule of its current loans. Greece received a €110 billion loan last year from the EU and IMF, but struggles with implementing sufficient reforms to reduce its debt burden.
We, the Greek government, European institutions and other Eurozone countries all continue to believe that the costs far outweigh any potential benefits. For our citizens, for the economy, for the Greek and European banking system, for social security funds, for the Eurozone. So we stick to doing what we need to do in any case, create a primary surplus, get the economy growing, again through structural reforms, and use our assets to reduce our debt.
Meanwhile, Greece sold treasury bills at a lower rate on Tuesday, selling more than €1.6 billion of 3 months' debt, raising funds to roll over €480 million of maturing government paper later in the month at a lower yield compared to a previous April auction.
I think there is commitment on the part of the Greek government to do things. I think the Europeans understand that. They understand that we need more time probably and maybe more resources for that. And they are willing to come forward, provided, of course, that they have certain safeguards, certain guarantees.
Annual inflation in the UK hit a 2.5-year high last month, and core prices rose at a record pace, according to the Office of National Statistics, deepening the interest rates dilemma for the Bank of England. Consumer prices rose 4.5% in April, more than twice the bank's target of 2%. That's the steepest increase for 2.5 years. And the so-called core inflation, which doesn't include volatile items like food and petrol, reached 3.7%, the highest annual rate on record. According to economists, this could mean the Bank of England will raise rates sooner rather than later. Month on month, prices were up 1%. Only once before, since inflation is being measured in the UK, have prices risen so sharply in just 4 weeks.
I feel this could be a blip to the upside on the back of rising commodity prices. We've seen in the last couple of weeks commodity prices have come back down. So going forward, CPI figures could come back down to the downside and the market could self-correct. So we could see interest rates expectations being pushed back further, possibly into early next year.
The Indian government has decided to end a tax incentive scheme for exporters by the end of June, the country's revenue secretary said on Wednesday. Speaking to reporters, Sunil Mitra said the Indian export industry was doing well and no longer needed incentives, which for the government amount to an annual loss of 80 billion rupees or $1.8 billion. The export incentive scheme is a process where the government reimburses the taxes exporters paid on imported supplies. More than a decade after the last internet boom and bust, another web startup frenzy is underway and investor interest is reaching fever pitch. Analysts wonder whether investors are repeating the past mistakes of the dot-com bubble when investors chased the soaring valuations of newly founded internet high flyers. Thomson Reuters data shows that so far this year, venture capital worth more than $5 billion poured into internet companies. That is the largest inflow in a decade. However, it is still well below the sums flowing during the dot-com peak of 2000. The IPO pipeline of internet companies is beginning to fill up, with a number of new web stars wanting to go public in the next 12 to 18 months. That has sparked a debate over whether this boom could be another bubble.
I've heard, to my surprise, many venture capitalists who are saying, no, there's not a bubble. When you're seeing valuations double in the last 12 months for the same company, the same team, that feels like a bubble to me.
That's it for international business, but before we head back to news, let's take a quick look at the Asian equity, the commodity and the currency markets. And after that, Mona Nasser is back with the news.